Hello everybody and welcome back to another brainstorm. Today we're going to be talking about area and perimeter. We're going to split this video up into three parts. First of all, we're going to talk about how do we find the area of squares and rectangles. Then we're going to talk about how do we find the perimeter around these shapes. And we'll finish off by talking about how do we find the area and perimeter of compound shapes. Area and perimeter are two topics that come up in our everyday lives. For example, we might need to find the area of a room to work out how much flooring we need, or we might need to work out the perimeter around a piece of land for fencing, for example. So let's get right into this. So we're going to start off by discussing how do we find the area of a square or a rectangle. Now this is the key formula that we need to know when trying to find the area of shapes, and that is the area is equal to the length of the shape times by the width. We also need to know the area is measured in centimeters squared or meters squared, and that all depends on the unit of the length and width. Now when we're trying to find the area of these shapes, the first step is to distinguish what is the length and width. It's important to note that because for a square the length and width are exactly the same length, because all the sides are the same, we don't actually need to distinguish between the two. But for a rectangle we do. Usually we call the longest side of the rectangle the length and the shorter side the width. Alright guys, so let's just put that into practice by trying to find the area of this square. Now first of all, because all of the sides are the same length, we don't have to distinguish between a length and a width. We just know that our two figures are going to be 5 centimeters and 5 centimeters. We're going to start off by writing our formula, which we know is area is equal to length times width. We know that length is 5 and width is also 5. So we know that area is equal to 5 times by 5. And therefore we know that area is 25. Now the unit for area is going to be centimeters squared because both our length and width are in centimeters. So overall we know that the area of our square is 25 centimeters squared. Alright guys, so let's try and work through another example, but this time we're using a rectangle. So the first thing that we need to do is distinguish between the length and the width. Generally for the rectangle, the longer side is the length, so we know that our length is equal to 8 centimeters, and the shorter side is the width, so our width is 3 centimeters. Then we can write down our formula. We know that area is equal to length times width, so we know our area is equal to 8 centimeters times 3 centimeters, which we know is 24. And once again our unit is going to be centimeters squared because both our length and width are in centimeters. So overall the area of this rectangle is 24 centimeters squared. Alright guys, so now we know how to find the area of these shapes. Now let's talk about how we find the perimeter. First of all, it's important to note that the perimeter is the length around a shape. And so we work it out using the total length of all four sides of the shape, or generally speaking it's just the total length of all the sides of the shape if we have a shape which has more than 4 sides. So for this rectangle here, the first step to finding the perimeter of any shape is to label any lengths that aren't labelled. So we can see that for this rectangle this side isn't labelled and neither is the top side. But we know that for a rectangle opposite sides have the same length. So the top length is going to be 8 centimeters to match the bottom, and the left length is going to be 3 centimeters to match the right. Then we can work out the perimeter by adding all of these sides together, which is 8 plus 8 plus 3 plus 3, which comes to 22. Now the unit for perimeter is not centimeters squared, it's just centimeters because we're talking about the length around the shape. So our perimeter for this rectangle is 22 centimeters. So guys, now we know how to find the area of the shape, we know how to find the perimeter of the shape, so we can try and find the area and perimeter of compound shapes. Essentially what a compound shape is just two or more regular shapes that have been joined together. You can see that this L shape in the diagram here is essentially just two rectangles which I've shown with this blue line. We can split it into this rectangle right here and this long vertical rectangle here as well. So then we can jump in and find the perimeter of this shape, and once again for the perimeter we start off by labelling any unlabelled lengths. So for us that's this top length here and this length here. So we start with the top length, which is super simple to find out. We know that whatever the top length is, plus this 6 centimeters, has to total this 10 centimeters. So if we do 10, take away 6, we know that the top length is going to be equal to 4. We can use that same thought to find the second length here. We know that whatever it is, plus 2, has to total this 9 here. So if we do 9 take away 2, we know that that's 7. Now remember that the perimeter is all of these lengths added together. So for us, that's going to be 9 plus 4 plus 7 plus 6 plus 2 plus 10, which totals to 38. Once again, note that the unit for perimeter is not centimeters squared, it's just centimeters, because we're talking about the length all around the shape. Alright guys, so we found the perimeter of the shape, now let's try and find the area. So when finding the area of compound shapes, the important thing is that we split it into 2 regular shapes, which we've done here. And when we find the area, we have to treat both of these regular shapes separately to start with. So we're going to label this rectangle here rectangle 1 and this one number 2. So let's start off by finding area of rectangle 1. We know that once again that's equal to length times width. It's the same formula as before. For area number 1, our length is going to be 9 centimeters and our width is 4 centimeters. So then our area is 9 times 4, which is 36. And once again our unit is going to be centimeters squared. Then we can find the area of rectangle 2. So our area is once again going to be length times width. We know that the length of this rectangle is going to be 6 centimeters and our width is going to be 2. So we know that our area is 6 times 2, and that's 12, once again centimeters squared. So then if we want to find the total area of this whole shape, we need to add the area of rectangle 1 to the area of rectangle 2. So our area is going to be 36 plus 12, which is 48 centimeters squared. So the area of the whole shape is going to be 48 centimeters squared. So guys, we're just going to finish up this video by working through a word problem on compound area. It says that Sam wants flooring for his kitchen, but he has a kitchen island in the center, which he does not want flooring for. What is the area of flooring that he needs? So the important parts to note for this question is that Sam has a kitchen with an island in the middle, which he does not need flooring for. We're trying to find the area of flooring that he does want. So if we look at this diagram, we can see that this white square in the center of his kitchen is the island. This whole shape is his whole kitchen. And we are trying to find the area of just the dark grey region. So the way that we're going to tackle this question is first we're going to find the area of the whole kitchen, then we'll find the area of the island, minus that from the area of the whole kitchen to find the area of just the dark grey region. So let's just do that. So the area of our whole kitchen is once again length times width. The length of the whole kitchen is 15 meters by 10 meters. So that's 15 times 10, which we know is 150. And note that this time we have meters squared because we're working in meters this time. Then we're going to find the area of this island. And that's a simple square, so we know that its area is going to be 3 times 3, which we know is 9 meters squared. So then if we want to find the area of just the dark grey region, we need to do 150 meters squared minus 9 meters squared, which we know is 141 meters squared. And that's the area of the flooring which he's going to need. Alright guys, so let's just end this video by recapping everything that we've learned today. So the first thing that we talked about is the fact that area is equal to the length of a shape times by its width. And the area can be measured in centimeters squared or meters squared, but that's depending on the unit of the length and width. And then we talked about how to find the perimeter of the shape, and remember that that's just the length all around the shape, and that it's the total of all the lengths of the shape. Remember that perimeter is just measured in centimeters because it's a length and not an area. Then we talked about compound shapes. Remember that a compound shape is just 2 or more regular shapes that have been joined together. We talked about how do we find the perimeter of a compound shape, and remember that the first thing that we have to do is label. We have to label any lengths that haven't already been done, and then we add them all together just like so. And we finally discussed how do we find the area of a compound shape. And the important thing to do there is split. We have to split the shape into two regular shapes, treating them separately to start with, and then finding the total area by adding them together. And with that, I'd just like to say thank you guys all for watching. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more videos just like this, and I'll see you guys soon.